Henry Emily is a central yet often overlooked figure in the Five Nights at Freddy's series, serving as one of the original founders of Fredbear's Family Diner along with business partner William Afton. A brilliant inventor and engineer, Henry was believed responsible for designing many of the early animatronics, including the puppet, which was intended to protect children at the restaurant. Calm, intelligent and deeply principled, Henry's life was shattered after the death of his daughter, Charlotte, outside his place of work. This tragedy marked a turning point, pushing Henry into the background as he battled with his grief. Later in the series, Henry emerges as a key player behind the scenes, one of the few characters fully aware of Afton's evil intentions and determined to end the cycle of violence once and for all, even at great personal cost. This video is my take on how such a beloved character had a part in Elizabeth Afton's life after death, one filled with manipulation and dread. In 1983, an event unfolded outside Fredbear's Family Diner, the death of Charlotte Emily, daughter of Henry Emily. On one rainy night, as children played inside, Charlotte was outside, locked out. It was in that vulnerable moment that William Afton, Henry's business partner and man hiding his monstrous intentions, took his opportunity. Emerging from the purple car, Afton approached and ended the life of Charlotte in the alleyway behind the diner. Her spirit would later go on to inhabit the puppet, the animatronic that had meant to protect the children. Charlotte's death marked the beginning of more horrifying events that afflicted the restaurant's chain. In the aftermath, Henry Emily was consumed by grief and the overwhelming sense of failure. In an effort to cope with his loss and preserve the memory of his beloved daughter, he poured his heart into building a lifelike animatronic version of her called Charlie. This creation wasn't just a technical marvel, it was an emotional lifeline. At its core, Henry embedded Charlotte's favourite toy, the Ella doll, her favourite small toy that had brought her comfort in life. By encapsulating Ella within Charlie, Henry sought to recreate a piece of Charlotte. This act of creation was driven by a father's desperate need for healing. Through Charlie, Henry tried to bridge the gap between the memory and the soul. This creation would offer redemption for Charlotte in a world that had taken so much. After his obsession with the animatronics, Henry's wife could no longer bear the weight of their crumbling family life. She had the painful decision to leave him, taking their son Sammy. The separation was so complete that Henry and Charlie was left entirely on their own, living in isolation. In an effort to protect Charlie from the painful truth, or perhaps out of denial, Henry never told her what was really happening. Instead, young Charlie was led to believe that her brother had died. The falsehood created a void in her heart and further deepened the distance between their broken family. As Henry struggled with his work and his grief, Charlie grew up in a world defined by the absence of her mother, her brother, and eventually even her father. For Elizabeth Afton, the opening day at Circus Baby's Pizza World was filled with excitement, bright lights, laughter, and the promise of cutting-edge animatronics designed to entertain families. But the celebration quickly turned sour when Elizabeth, William Afton's only daughter, went missing. Unbeknownst to anyone else, she had been drawn to Circus Baby, the animatronic her father had specifically warned her to avoid. Lured by curiosity and the deceptive sense of safety, Elizabeth had ultimately died by the very machine she idolized. William would never admit the truth. Instead, he likely spun a fabricated story blaming her disappearance on a mysterious figure or a tragic abduction, carefully avoiding the connection to his creations. His ability to manipulate the narrative ensured that no one would have suspected the true horror behind Elizabeth's vanishing, one that was born not of strangers, but of her own father's invention. Circus Baby's Pizza World was abruptly shut down shortly after its grand opening, with the official explanation citing the mysterious gas leak that made the facility unsafe for both guests and staff. Behind the scenes, however, more disturbing incidents had occurred. Among them was the unexplained disappearance of Ballora, one of the flagship animatronics designed for elegant performances. Unknown to most, Ballora possessed the unique ability to go invisible, slipping past customers and staff. Her vanishing act was part of her performance, but was considered an escape. The gas leak excuse provided by William Afton was the perfect cover to quietly shut the doors on another failed and dangerous venture, concealing the truth of what had really gone wrong inside. In the early days of their venture, William Afton and Henry Emily were more than just colleagues. They were trusted friends, united in a shared vision of revolutionizing children's entertainment through the animatronic innovation. When Elizabeth Afton suddenly went missing during the opening of Circus Baby's Pizza World, William had likely confided in Henry, telling him that Elizabeth had been taken, an unsettling explanation. Out of loyalty and friendship, Henry had initially chosen to believe him, trusting that William was just a grieving father grasping for clarity in the horrific moment, a moment Henry had also recently experienced. Haunted by the death of his daughter and burdened by guilt, Henry Emily may have taken the desperate step, one driven not only by remorse but also the lingering sense of responsibility. Having once built an animatronic to house the essence of Charlotte, it's possible Henry attempted something similar for Elizabeth Afton. As she was a child, Elizabeth's fate and the role technology played may have compelled Henry to try and give her a second chance. He could have created an animatronic body designed for her life. Years later, that animatronic would come to be known as Vanessa, a name perhaps chosen to mark a new identity and a clean slate. Not anymore an Afton. Posing as a police deputy, Vanessa would quietly observe the night guards at the Freddy Fazbear's restaurant. Her actions were either acted upon by her own will or that guided by her father's programming. In the novel adaptation of the movie, a moment unfolds when Mike Schmidt observes that Vanessa's eyes subtly change colour as she becomes more visibly emotional over Abby's safety. This fleeting detail catches Mike off guard, hinting at something unnatural for Vanessa. Though Vanessa has often kept a composed and guarded demeanour, this moment exposes a crack in her facade, revealing her protective instincts. In the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, a key detail is the old photograph from the 1980s showing Vanessa alongside Spring Bonnie. While the novel of the movie, that same photo is Vanessa out front of the restaurant with the 4 core animatronics. Either image hints at her deeper connection with the haunted restaurant. While Vanessa appears as a contemporary character, the photo suggests that she had been involved, or at least present, during the time of the original incidents tied to the children and the animatronics. The photograph reveals Vanessa as a child holding Garrett's distinctive orange toy plane, a clue that ties her directly to the past tragedy. The presence of the toy, once belonging to Mike Schmidt's younger missing brother, suggests Vanessa was present during the time of the original disappearances. Despite the suspicious connection, the animatronics never harm or even approach to harm Vanessa throughout the film, a detail that subtly sets her apart from the other characters. This immunity raises the question about her past being more complicit than she let on. In the movie, the deal Golden Freddy offers Mike Schmidt trades the life of his sister Abby for information about Garrett. This could echo a possible repeat of the past that William Afton himself may have faced. After introducing his daughter Elizabeth to the haunted animatronics, her inclusion in the group of children could be likely the same way they wanted Abby. It's conceivable that William was given an opportunity to trade a life for a life. In this theory, Garrett's, Mike's younger brother, may have been the price paid for Elizabeth's safety, being excluded from the Spirit Children's group. This parallel adds the irony to Mike's journey, implying that he's caught up in the same nightmarish cycle of sacrifice and guilt that once consumed William Afton. William Afton's control over Vanessa became increasingly apparent, especially in his demand that she defend the restaurant and deceive the guards. Bound by fear or her father's manipulation, Vanessa carries out his orders. She distracts and misleads those who get too close to the truth, including Mike, using her position as a police officer to shield the darker secrets of the restaurant. I'll theorize that Henry once gifted William an animatronic, similar to the one he lovingly built for his own daughter Charlotte, as a gesture of friendship. This animatronic, later known as Vanessa, was intended to be controlled by the soul of William's daughter, Elizabeth. By offering her a second chance at life, a chance to grow, experience the world, and escape the tragedy that had befell her. But William perverted that gift. Instead of granting Elizabeth freedom, he bound her to serve his purpose, entrapping her in a loop of lies and manipulation, tasked with deceiving the guards and protecting the cursed restaurant's occupants. What began as a well-meaning act of mercy from Henry transformed into a cursed existence for Elizabeth, trapped in a life she never chose. Meanwhile, as Vanessa, she tried to stop Mike from bringing Abby to the restaurant, attempting to shield them from the same fate. Her actions subtly defied William's overarching plan, creating a small window of hope and potential freedom for what remained of the Schmidt family. In the end, Henry stood to do right. His actions, though often unseen, were guided by a sense of responsibility, seeking to free the trapped souls, honour his daughter's freedom, and put an end to the nightmare that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza had become. In contrast, William Afton embraced the darkness, using the same technology to manipulate, deceive, and destroy. Where Henry built with love and loss, William corrupted with cruelty and control.